Good morning and welcome to Morning Moments. Today I have a special guest with us, and I'm going to introduce our special guest and tell you how we got connected first. That short time when I was working as a stand-up comedian or trying to, I went to when we lived in Woodstock, Georgia. I went to a performance of this comedian, and after the performance, I walked up to him, introduced myself, and I told him, well, what can I do about being a stand-up comedian? And he gave me some pearls of wisdom that launched my career for 5 years to 60 or 70 gigs, where I actually went to nursing homes and been heckled by 92-year-olds with oxygen in a wheelchair. You haven't lived until you've been heckled by a 92-year-old in a wheelchair. So anyway, a contact of mine is Kenn Kington. He is a comedian. He is an author and a speaker. Kenn, thank you so much for joining us today.
Dude, I didn't know that about the nursing homes. That's fantastic. And I don't know if you know or not, but that project, the one you're talking about, actually won a Golden Crown Award, and it's actually on Amazon Prime right now. So if your listeners have Amazon Prime, they can see wow moments, and it's free on Amazon Prime. But that was like one of the pinnacle performances of my career, and you were there, and so you have a great effect. And apparently I have the opposite effect because you were performing in nursing homes being heckled by 90-year-olds. That's fantastic. Oh, I actually try to do one or two a year just for fun, and if it works into the schedule. And it's so fun to go in, and they're just super appreciative, and I get as much material as I give at those. So it's a blast.
Well, Kenn, you and I were chatting a little bit, and I have a question for you. How has COVID affected your comedy and your delivery of comedy?
Well, it's affected in the sense that I was literally, I had about 6 months off. Everything just shut down, and there's no live performances. And that's really started to change a little bit over the last really the last 3 or 4 weeks. I've started to do some shows. I've been in about 5 or 6 states. And if they're watching on YouTube and it looks really red, I'm actually sunburned, if you can imagine. I was down in St. Simons, Georgia, hosting an event and doing a show down there, and got a little sunburn while I played golf. But COVID, it's actually good news. And for your listeners, the good news, and this isn't my opinion, these are facts, that COVID now in the United States, yes, it's still lingering, but 99.99% of Americans do not have COVID-19. And of those who do, the 1/7,000th of 1% that do, 99.996% of those will not be serious or critical. So it's moving in the right direction and going well. That's the facts. Now, my observations are some of my favorites. And I don't know if you've been to a restaurant yet. Have you been to a restaurant?
Oh, yes. It's
okay, well, you look like you're not missing any meals, so that's a good thing. But I've noticed that you have to wear a mask till you sit down, and then you can take the mask off. So apparently COVID cannot penetrate about 4.5 feet above the ground. And as I'm making these observations, I'm just like, well, so I started flying some, and I sat down and I took my mask off, and the flight attendant said, "Hey, you got to put your mask on." And I'm like, "Hey, but I'm below the 4.5 feet." And she said, "Well, we're about to be above 30,000 feet, so you need to put your mask on." And so I'm like, okay, but then they tell you on the flights, keep your mask on unless you're eating or drinking. And I just thought, so apparently COVID is repelled by food and beverage. So I walk around with a bottle of water by my face, and that seems to work to get the COVID out. But two of my favorites, I don't know if you've run into any mask, how do I put this? I call them mask Nazis, but mask intensive people that just feel the need to tell everybody how to wear a mask. And mine was literally over my nose and mouth, But this lady just stopped me and she goes, hey, pull your mask down. It's got to be over your chin. And I thought, I didn't know I could breathe out of my chin. I mean, when did that start? I mean, you're a nurse, right? Can people breathe through their chin? Because I've been intubated, but it didn't go through my chin. So, but the one that really got me is I walked into a place and the lady told me your mask is on backwards. Apparently that blue side is supposed to be out. So here I am, I've been walking around for 6 months thinking that I am protecting myself from COVID. The whole time I've been attracting COVID to me. So I'm learning a lot in that. And then my favorite personal example is just my son, my youngest son. In our county where we are, you have a choice. You can go back to school live, or you can continue online. And he was really torn. He's like, yeah, I don't know what I want to do, because I know the experts say that physically and emotionally and relationally and mentally, it's more detrimental for kids not to socialize. He says, but I really like being at home. And my wife and I looked at each other and we just laughed. We're like, oh, buddy, that's not your choice. That's our choice. That's for our mental health and well-being. So you're going back. And so he's back in school now, and COVID. I'll just say this too, Andy, probably one of the greatest parts is at the beginning of COVID, I stopped and I just went, Lord, what do you want me to do? I mean, I don't know if this is going to last a month or two. And what God impressed on my heart was, okay, Ken, what's something you've really wanted to do or felt a need to do that you haven't been able to do? And that was to write a book. And so I spent COVID finishing and writing, really starting and finishing a book that really chronicles a massive change in my life 4 years ago. And it was literally, this time 4 years ago, I was in my basement recovering from open heart surgery. And what I learned from that experience, it's changed my life, literally, in all good ways. I've discovered 3 gifts that were already in my life, but I hadn't fully opened them and experienced them. And those 3 gifts have changed everything. And they're now part of my normal routine. And people is one of those gifts. And the book, I'll give you an example of where the title of the book came from. I was meeting with the thoracic surgeon 2 weeks afterwards. And he said, Ken, I don't know how to tell you this, but I'm literally physically looking in your chest at your heart. And your heart, all 4 arteries were completely closed. Literally over 99% closed. He said, I'm asking the people in the room, why is that heart beating? And he said, you should have had a massive heart attack months ago, 6-8 months ago. And there's no way you would have survived. And he said, I don't know what your background is, but you need to treat every day like it's a bonus, because for you it is. And that became the title of the book, Every Day is a Bonus, enjoying the 3 greatest gifts in life. And we finished it, and your timing is really perfect because it's just come out on Amazon. And you can download it on a Kindle or get a copy of it. But it's an incredibly easy read, but one of the greatest. I mean, you can probably read it in 90 minutes, but what people are telling me they're walking away with is, I've had the 3 gifts all along. I've just never fully opened them. And you're right. It makes all the difference. I didn't understand this one. I didn't really embrace that one, but it's just so simple, but it makes all the difference. So every day's a bonus, Kenn Kington, and it's definitely worth the hour and a half to read it.
You know, quite often when I talk to people, when we talk about the different chapters in our life, it's those chapters in our life. It's the struggles that we go through. The strength is in the struggle. The learning is in the journey. And God puts us through these wonderful journeys so that we're strengthened to become what He wants us to be. And it doesn't matter what we've gone through. If we would have tried to orchestrate it ourselves, we would have probably just screwed it up. And
Well,
just
I didn't want it at all. That was not, I would have never chosen, hey, do you want to have emergency quadruple bypass surgery? No, I'm going to pass on that. So, yeah, but you are so right that joy is not the absence of pain or trials. It's the presence of God in the middle of it. And I can honestly say I've walked through the valley of the shadow of death. And that next part of that psalm is so precious to me. And I fear nothing because you are with me in the midst of it. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. His protection and his provision. And I got to see that firsthand in a way that I'd never experienced before. So it's been right. I love that. What did you say about the journey, the learning, or
the learning is in the journey. The strength is in the struggle.
Dude, make a t-shirt. You need to cross stitch that somewhere. That's fantastic.
Well, Ken, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day for us today. And we will continue to keep you in our prayers that God would put you at the right place at the right time to be the instrument of joy and laughter to many, and also that people will cross, those gifts of people will cross your paths for you and for them. We're going to pray that way. And for those of you that's listening, if you've enjoyed this, please share it on your Facebook page. Share the YouTube. I'm going to be delivering this on YouTube as well, and pass it along. And thank you all for joining me. And Ken, again, thank you so much for being our special guest today.
Thanks for asking, Andy. This is a blast. Let's keep in touch.
We sure will. And thank you all for joining me, and keep in touch with us on Morning Moments. And again, keep coming back, and may God richly bless you.